Hey there, it's Leanna Weller-Smith from Weller-Smith Design and design expert for hot chocolate. In this tutorial, we will use color overlays, filters, and gradients 6 different ways to show you how to creatively customize the same graphic to fit your brand style. This was a fun one to put together, so let's get started. Go to canva.com and log into your account. You'll want to create a new design to start these graphics. I'm using the social media size, which is 800 pixels by 800 pixels. You can use the same graphic and follow along with me, or you can choose whichever version you need for your project. To save some time, I will be working from my pre-designed layout that I put together for this tutorial. You'll see I have the image and I have all 6 final graphics in here. We're going to be looking at each one and deconstructing it so that you'll learn how to create each style on your own. To show the flexibility of using styled stock in Canva for your brand, we will be using the same image to show you how it can look different 6 different ways using color overlays, filters, and gradients. The first style we are going to set up is the basic color overlay. This is super simple. It's very easy to put together. You can use your brand colors, you can use it for your navigation, your services, or any sort of social media graphic. So we're going to start with a blank canvas. We're going to go to our uploads and we're going to add in the photo and stretch it to fit. Now we're going to go to the elements and shapes, pick the square. Drag this so that it covers your image and pick your brand color. But for this right now, we're going to use the default palette. So we're going to pick a fun color and we're going to change the opacity. Next, we'll add in our text. So we're going to center it by dragging left and right to the edges, and then you can center it within the page. Just look for the little crosshairs. You see the dashed lines. We're going to make this white. And as a little element, we're going to add a line. You can add an icon, you could add, your logo, scale it, and we'll change the color to white. You'll want to center it, Shift, Option, and drag. And there you have it. Super simple, basic color overlay. Let us know how it works out. The next style that we will create is called the bright and blurry graphic style. You can see the background image has been blurred out. You can tell that there's something back there. You can tell it's probably a person. There's things on the table, but the image is not sharp. It gives it just a different look and feel than a crisp photo. The other item that's on this graphic is the circular element here with the different transparencies. It gives it like a fun little kind of hip vibe to it. We'll start with a blank canvas, go to our uploads and add our photo, drag it so that it covers everything, and we're going to put a filter on this. Blur the image 25. So you can still see what's happening, but it's not super sharp. Next, we're going to add the circular element. So we'll go to Element, Shapes, and we're going to select the circle. We want this to be white. You can choose any color that works for you. Play around with your colors. We're going to make this about 50% transparency and then just copy the circle. we will make this one a little bit smaller, and we'll change the transparency to like 75. And for the third circle, we're just going to copy this, make it smaller again, but we're just going to keep the transparency the same. Shift, click all three of them, and group them, and then you can arrange them so you can center them vertically and horizontally. So now you see it has that little stair step effect, and it gives it a totally different little vibe to it. So now we're going to add the title. And we're going to give it one of our fun brand colors. Center it first, and then pick a brand color. There we go, we see the hashtags. And then we are going to add some lines top and bottom. So we can scale these and give it another color of ours, and you can center it. Shift Option drag to duplicate it. And then if you want to make sure everything is centered, you can select them and then center them. So there you have it, the bright and blurry graphic style. It's a lot of fun, and it'll give you different variety when it comes to the graphics that you can use in the background. So I hope you enjoyed this one. The next graphic we are going to create is what I'm calling the vintage vibe style. So you can see here, this graphic has a duotone effect. It doesn't have any color popping through some of the other graphics. You can still see the color tone on her fingernails and the drink on the table, but this is more black and white with a color overlay. So we're going to walk through the process of setting this one up. Start with a blank canvas, go to your uploads, and add your photo. Stretch it to fit. And then we're going to change this image to grayscale. So go to Filter and scroll over and select Grayscale. So you can see all the color is gone now, so it'll give it a totally different effect. Now this one, we're going to adjust the rest of the filters. So this version doesn't actually have a color overlay, which is kind of cool. So this is a different way to get the same effect, just a little bit different. So we're going to change the brightness to 100, to minus 100. So you can see it gives us some more depth to the tone here. We're going to adjust the contrast just to slightly, around 15. We're going to adjust the saturation. Actually, the saturation is good at minus 100. The tint we're going to change, and this will change the color. So we wanted it to kind of have that blue turquoise look, very vintage. The blur is 0, and the X process we're going to change to 25. It'll just kind of brighten it up a little bit. But play around with all of these filters because it changes the effect. You can change the color, the tone, all of this stuff. So it's a lot of fun. So definitely get in here and don't be afraid to try them out. So now we're going to add our text. We're going to use a sans serif that's thick and bold. We're going to make it big so that it fills up the screen. We're going to close up the spacing just a little bit, and we are going to change it to white so it pops. So for this one, we're also going to add a little rule to separate it, give it a little more personality. You can scale this so that it's smaller, change the color to white, and then center it. So there you have it, a very vintage vibe style graphic. Again, play around with the filters and the colors, but this is a different way to create a duotone effect where there's no other color in the background. It gives you a little bit more flexibility with the images that you use, and you can really push the limits with this type of style. The next graphic that we will be creating is what I'm calling the Malibu style graphic. It has a beachy vibe and we use fluorescent colors to fun it up a bit. You can mix and match with your brand and just have fun with it. If you want to do like a seasonal graphic, something like this would really work. So let's put this one together. Start with your blank canvas, go to your uploads and add your photo. Drag it to the edges. We are going to add a color overlay. So click on Elements, Shape, and we want the square. So drag it so that it covers your graphic. And we're going to pick a fun, punchy blue. And we're going to adjust the transparency to maybe like 80. To give it that sort of gradient effect, we're going to add a gradient. So you can search for gradient, and Canva has a few in here that are free. So we're going to use this one, and you'll see it goes from transparent to like a dark gray, not 100% black. You're going to scale it so that it covers your graphic. Now we're going to add our text. And we're going to pick a fluorescent color. We already loaded one in here. And we're going to use a fun retro vibe, beachy typeface. And for this one, we're going to add a line, top and bottom. You can scale it. We want this to pop, so we will make it white. Out of the centered. Shift Option, click and drag to duplicate it. And there you go, a very fun Malibu style graphic. So we hope you like this style. The next graphic that we are going to create is what I am calling the Regal style. It has a lot of cool elements to it. There's a fun gradient that goes from purple to a deeper maroon color. We also have some gold foil on here and a very classic typeface. So to create this graphic, we will start with a blank canvas, go to Uploads, and add your image, stretch it to fit. This version has a lot of different elements to it, so we're first going to change this background image to grayscale. We're going to add an overlay color, so click on Shapes. We want the square. Again, you'll pick something that works with your brand palette. We're going to go with something bright, and then we're going to give it a lighter transparency here. Next, we're going to pick a gradient, but we're not going to pick the one that we normally do. We're going to try this one, which is fun, this purple to black. Scale this to fit. And now we're going to change the transparency to about 50. And you can see now here where the color goes from like this fun purple to more of a maroon color. And if you move this transparency, you see the color changes. So now to get the gold element that we had on here, you know, Hot Chocolate has a lot of graphic packs which are really fun and very useful. So we're going to add one of those in here. So it's very fun, but you see we have this extra rule on here, and we don't want that one. We just want these two. So double click the graphic, and now we can crop it. So we're going to crop it so that all we see here is the double rule box, and we'll scale it to fit. And now we're going to add our text. We're going to use a very classic typeface. We'll center this within the graphic. We're going to close up the space, adjusting the line height. And then we want this to be a gold color, which we have loaded in here. So there you go, the very Regal style graphic. Again, play around with the gradient colors and the colors that you use so that they match your palette, and have fun with it. The last style that we are going to create is what I call retro chic. It has fun pop of color here coming through the transparent background, and then it has a fun chunky typeface. So to create this, we'll start with a blank canvas, go to our uploads, and add our photo, drag it so that it covers the background. We're going to add the gradient, rotate it, and pull it out so it covers the graphic. Now we're going to pick an overlay border. So let's look at the elements, and we'll be in the shape palette, and let's see if we can find, here we go. It's like a window shape. So we will pull this to the corner, and we will cover our graphic. We're going to change this to black, and then we want to put a gradient, or sorry, a transparency on it. So now you can see the color pops through the background. So now we're going to add our text. We want to make this white. Make it nice and big. So there you have it, the retro chic style graphic. As you can see, it's easy to create custom branded graphics using styled stock and color overlays, filters, and gradients with Canva. If you enjoyed this tutorial, definitely leave us a comment. If you try any of the tips, be sure to hashtag us at #HCStyledStock so that we can see what you're up to. If there's something that you want to see in the future, message us at hello@hotchocolate.ca and let us know what tutorial you would like to see.